When Shimano updated its GRX Gravel group set last August to 12-speed, it launched not just one new group, but 3, with a 2x option and 2 1x options with different rear derailleur cages and gearing options. But conspicuously absent was Di2. Well, the wait is over. Here is Shimano's new GRX 12-speed Di2 group set. Let's take a look at what's new, what's not so new, and what's missing. The most obvious change is it is now 12-speed. That brings with it a slightly lower gearing. The lowest cassette is now 1136, and that's still paired with your choice of 4831 chainring or 4630 chainring. Most of the new changes are centered around the shifter. They're now the same as Dura-Ace, Ultegra, and 105. They're wireless to the rear derailleur. But both the front and rear derailleur are still wired into a central battery. Shimano maintains that gives them most of the benefit of a wireless cockpit while maintaining a larger central battery that gives longer battery life. With the increasing popularity of flared bars, Shimano has made the new hoods a little bit rounder and slimmer to better match different degrees of flares on whatever bars you may choose. Top knob of the shifters themselves are slightly bigger than before because they're housing batteries for the wireless communications to the derailleurs, but that's not a part that you really hold, so the feel of the hoods in hand are very similar to the previous 11-speed GRX hoods, and also actually very similar to the road shifters of Dura-Ace and Ultegra. The most notable update for GRX 12-speed is actually not a hardware update, but a software update. With this GRX 12-speed, Shimano is launching a new feature, what it calls front shift next. In the past, in order to execute a shift, you would hit one button to shift to a big ring and a different button to shift to the small ring. With front shift next, you can use Shimano's eTube app to assign a single button to shift both directions. You would hit it and it would just shift to whichever ring the chain is currently not on. So that frees up an extra button or a paddle to assign to whatever function you want to do, such as controlling your Garmin, going to a specific page, or turning on trim so you can trim your shifting on the fly if it's slightly out of adjustment. This is a running change and will also be rolled out to Dura-Ace, Ultegra, or 105 12-speed system. All you have to do is a quick firmware update and you will have access to front shift next and assign whatever button you want and try it out for yourself. Moving on to what's not so new, the rear derailleur now houses the brain of the system as well as the charge port, bringing it in line with Dura-Ace, Ultegra, and 105 road group sets. It also uses the same charge cable. Otherwise, the rear derailleur is pretty similar to before, featuring the same clutch mechanism, what Shimano calls Shadow Plus, that's found on the previous GRX derailleur as well as its mountain bike derailleurs. The crankset is exactly the same as the 11-speed GRX crankset. Paired with 12-speed chainrings, it features the same plus 2.5mm chain line, which means no change if you're upgrading from either an 11-speed GRX group or coming from the 12-speed mechanical group set. The front derailleur is also largely carryover from before, aside from the fact that it is now compatible with the thinner 12-speed Di2 wires. Brake caliper is also the same as 12-speed mechanical GRX, and in fact is the same brake caliper found in the Ultegra 12-speed group set. I went down to Carson City, Nevada, where Shimano hosted a launch event for the new 12-speed GRX Di2 group set. While there, I was able to participate in Stetina's Paydirt, a time segment gravel event with plenty of steep rocky climbing and descending, deep sand traps, and flowy single tracks with a little bit of road connecting it all. So basically, a bit of everything when we talk about gravel these days. If you spent any time on the different versions of Di2, then the new 12-speed GRX Di2 will feel pretty familiar. Shifts are always executed with robotic precision, every time. Front shifts in particular are impressive. It doesn't matter if I'm grinding uphill, shifting under a load, or my drivetrain is filthy and making terrible noises from several stream crossings in a row, it just shifts every single time. The new rounded, slimmer hoods are a good improvement over the previous. I've personally never really got on with flared bars because I find they place the hoods on kind of an awkward angle, and most of my time is spent on the hoods. These new hoods fix that. I do find the ridges on the hood which Shimano placed there for added grip are a little too good their job. They just feel just a touch too aggressive for my hands. Even though they're pretty similar, I do give a slight edge in comfort to the road hoods, whether it's Dura-Ace, Ultegra, or 105. Braking is also very similar to 12-speed Ultegra, with good progressive feel and power. Not a real surprise considering the calipers are identical. So what's missing? So far I've talked a lot about shifting, chainring specifically, because there are no one-by option with 12-speed GRX Di2. Shimano says that they are working on it, but they won't say when it'll come or what it'll look like when it comes. In the meantime, if you want to run one-by and you want to run Shimano, they point you to the two mechanical 12-speed options that they offer. I've only had a brief time on this new 12-speed GRX Di2 group set, and I look forward to testing it out on home roads over the coming months. But with so much in common and carrying over from the previous 11-speed GRX Di2 as well as the current road Di2 group set, I'm pretty confident that my first impression of this new group, which is Ultegra Di2, but make it gravel, is probably going to hold up over the long term. If you want even more nerdy details on the new GRX Di2 12-speed, I've dropped a link to an in-depth look down below, including detailed breakdowns of weight and pricing. Thanks for watching.